Forked Lightning, 10 New Villanelles by Gilchrist Haas. I shut my eyes and all the world drops dead. I lift my lids and all is born again. Sylvia Plath. In which 4 Villanellians meet in heaven. 4 deceased composers of the Villanelle, Odin, Bishop, Thomas, and Sylvia Plath, meet for tea in heaven and get along well. They speak of prose and of verse, Don Ewan and William Tell, and recall some quips from Chaucer's Wife of Bath. 4 former craftsmen of the Villanelle at length fall headlong into Burgundian spell, and cannot reckon their bill through drunken math. But they laugh, make merry, and love each other well, now vomiting terza rima from Dante's hell, with ironic asides on Milton's Satan's wrath. 4 erstwhile wardens of the Villanelle stumble out of the inn through a starry dell, slurring antique verb forms like dust and hath. In alabaster beds they sleep quite well, dreaming of words that rhyme with good and fell, and appraising each as meet, so, or daft. 4 quondam masters of the Villanelle forget themselves in each other and make themselves well. Time and Rhyme. The supreme non-being of us all is time, that cold abstraction of matter and fact. And our Jesu and warm human Savior is rhyme, who entered creation first mute as a mime, and to set things in motion approached with tact the supreme non-being known as time, calling up to it through primordial slime, and presenting itself as the sun time lacked, as Christus and rescuer of flesh, as rhyme. Does such impertinence amount to crime? It seemed at least quite a breach of respect to the supreme non-being that is time, who considered tossing this sun in the lime. Eventually, though, time made a pact with this would-be Messiah who called himself Rhyme, and erected a ladder for us to climb against a plenum with days and minutes stacked. Thus did the supreme non-being known as time acknowledge his son, our Redeemer, Rhyme. The Age of Prose. All poets languished in the age of prose. There were no ears to hear their silent verse. So few of them apostrophized the rose, or decked remorse in figurative clothes. No Hippocrene to quench poetic thirst. The poets dried up in this age of prose. Just how it started no one can suppose, nor know how an affair can be reversed, in which there is no interest in the rose. For all there was to read was news of woes, and language neither beautiful nor terse. The poets suffered in this age of prose. Unfeeling gents would punch them in the nose, or disappear them in an unmarked hearse. They lived, they died, and no one brought a rose. The pallbearers were all the poets' foes, who mourned that there were no more left to curse. The poets languished in this age of prose, when folks could not care less about the rose. New Metaphors of Elemental Fire. New metaphors of elemental fire are what the children need to make them sing, and in their songs to conjugate desire. For it's the task of every youthful crier to catch them in his net, and then unspring new metaphors of elemental fire. All day the young ones never seem to tire, but strive to have their way with everything in which they can discern their own desire. Beyond a certain age, as death draws nigher, we wonder if it's possible to swing another toke on elemental fire, some groove or path or method to inspire our happenstance and keep it happening, as in old age we fan our old desire. The children gather round as we retire to chant in rounds of love and hymns of spring, new metaphors of elemental fire, through which they seize and conjugate desire. Our splendid rock. Our birthplace and our home is splendid rock, the central metaphor of this our age. Our tempo and our timekeeper, our clock. Our Plato and our Job, our modern Bach, whose gods have names like Hendrix, Moon, and Page. Yes, this our birthplace, known as Splendid Rock, has monuments to view on every block, like this one here, which showcases the rage that slowly gathered round Bill Haley's clock. And Otis felt it, sitting on that dock. He sang it out like righteous macrophage against the cancers threatening our rock. We filled our elders with regret and shock. How deep our anger flowed they could not gauge. Their Bibles bore no clue, nor did their clock. What more was there to do but jeer and mock, and vote to place our Jaggers in a cage? But now our birthplace, home, and splendid rock can be enjoyed by all. Just give a knock. Come trim the weeds, we'll pay a living wage. Behold our birthplace, home, and splendid rock, and in this square our battered, precious clock. The dialectic of surfeit and need. The dialectic of surfeit and need infuses us all with a sense of dread. It pinches the social impulse with greed and seems to undermine our every deed, from buying stocks to lining up for bread. The dialectic of surfeit and need is a struggle from which we would be freed, if to all the world it hadn't yet spread, yoking humanity to abject greed, and replicating itself in our seed to outlive us when our last word is said. The dialectic of surfeit and need surpasses goodwill with inhuman speed. In fact, we say Godspeed, though God has sped, and left us to worthless bounties of greed, in hope we will reformulate our creed before we final humans all drop dead. Behold this dialectic of surfeit and need that limits us all at times to limitless greed. Fun essence, square of life. The square of life, life's root, is precious fun. This I assert without a speck of qualm. It's good to know it now ere day is done. That's not to say serenity's to shun. We need at end of day some quiet balm to soothe us after squaring life for fun, like lotion that protects us from the sun, and bluemobiles that keep a baby calm while studying how life and days are done, and how to crawl and laugh and cry and run, and how to write a poem and win the palm. To dig the root of life in mirth and fun should make us sympathize with everyone, from Eden out to Avignon and Guam, who's keen to laugh and smile ere day is done. Fun essence, so revealed, may shock and stun. But I'll repeat this as my solemn psalm. The square of life, life's root, is precious fun, and I'm glad to have learned this ere my days are done. Furlongs thick and fathoms deep. The dude was capable of perfect sleep, although he did not know he had a snore that sounded down 10,000 fathoms deep and varied from a siren to a beep. It irked his brother Tim right to the core that Andy could enjoy such perfect sleep across the room inside his bundled heap that rattled window panes and shook the door and sounded furlongs thick and fathoms deep. Across the floor our restless Tim did creep, and thought how best to interrupt the roar so that he too might get some perfect sleep. His road to victory, alas, was steep, for Andy's dreams were filled with magic lore that dropped his NREM 3 just far too deep, brought on by making love to Meryl Streep. Returning to his bed, Tim's ears were sore. Yes, Andy sure was capable of sleep, and sure Tim slept, but no, it wasn't deep. Accessing the real, or dazzling chrome. The ultimate goal is access to the real, and that's the raison d'etre of the poem. In getting there, we learn to think and feel, stuffing eidetic fish into our creel to fry up nicely on our stove at home. The ultimate goal in accessing the real. Nutrition is the ultimate appeal. The hippocampus is a hippodrome, and as they race and learn to think and feel, our mental horses need a solid meal before we send them out in dazzling chrome. The ultimate goal of access to the real will make each pilgrim gush and grin and squeal upon release of that ecstatic foam that feeds and cleanses as we think and feel. Angling lines for popular appeal to scan beneath the moon and midnight dome. The ultimate goal in accessing the real, a poem that teaches us to think and feel. The universe is God enough for me. The cosmos whirls, imaginations free to paupers looking up through heaven's maze. The universe has got enough for me. Are we the spawn of man-made deity, or is our maker but this milky haze? The universe is God enough for me. Let riches fade to rags, an earnest plea. We're in accumulation's human phase. This universe has got enough for me without my having to smite oil from brie, and manna shall descend right where I lays. This universe is God enough for me. I worship it upon my bended knee and celebrate it in my gnomic lays. The universe has got enough for me, and I'm content within it just to be, and think that sometimes it returns my gaze. This universe has got enough for me, and universe is God enough for me. And that was Forked Lightning, 10 New Villanelles by Gilchrist Haas.